T-minus 9 minutes. T-minus 8 minutes. T-minus 7 minutes. T-minus 6 minutes. T-minus 5 minutes. T-minus 3 minutes. T-minus 2 minutes. T-minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
And we are on the air. I don't know about you, but I like these Wednesdays. I don't think it's the narcissist in me. I just like when it's just me and you for an hour on the Wednesdays in hour one. That's what we got going here on the RP Show. Game Plus streaming. It's cool. I bring in co-hosts the rest of the week, but this is where I get to be the Larry King of sports talk, right? So let's get the text line open, 902-518-3033, and I should take my own advice and open it myself. I'm very excited to have, every time we have Scott Belford on, I enjoy it. Anytime we have a stand-up comic on the air, I enjoy it. That's Scott Belford. He is coming up in the hour two to talk Major League Baseball. He also hosts the Walk-Off podcast because of all these things. And God bless the Rod Squad, our regular viewers. God bless you. You're all here. You kind of know what you're going to get on this program, right? National Hockey League, Canadian Football League, NFL when it's in season or in vogue. And then the rest that is the side dressings. And MLB, I just haven't had the time. And God bless the gentleman, Tony from Saskatoon, who wrote me this morning about the two-tiered PGA system. I'm just like, literally, nice try. Nice try. I have no room in my mind for the two-tiered PGA system. And you know that. You should honestly know better. So anyways, you're here and you've come to talk football. I see that. People are already writing in. My phone's going off about a couple of things. I go back and forth between hockey people and football people and a little bit of baseball people. My life is like this show, hence the Rod Pedersen Show. And the big story Trust me, you Bomber fans, we're going to get to that. Here in the warm-up, brought to you by Uniglobe Carefree Travel out of all of Western Canada, but specifically Vancouver. Score a touchdown in the Caribbean. Join CFL legend Adam Bighill and Rough Riders linebacker Jameer Thurman on a 7-day cruise departing from Fort Lauderdale on February 20th. A once-in-a-lifetime experience for CFL fans. Prices from $18.99, cruise only. Contact Neil Chark at Uniglobe Travel, Neil at uniglobecarefree.ca. It's not even Football Friday. So what's today? Today is Wednesday. So we get more football as we go towards the weekend. And God bless the NHL, as my good hotelier friend Jeff said this morning. Every day it's something new. And so far as we go to air today, nothing new other than our good friend Kevin Carius announcing his retirement from broadcasting from Sports 1440 Edmonton. My longest time friend in this business, Kevin Carius, just dropped within an hour ago that he's pulling the pin up in Edmonton. I guess he doesn't want to deal with Mike Babcock because, again, quick 6 show topics. The big story, Mike Babcock's coaching career has included a Stanley Cup title, 2 Olympic gold medals, high-profile NHL jobs, and scrutiny over his treatment of players. The Edmonton Oilers announced that Babcock has been hired as the team's new head coach Tuesday, taking over from Chris Knobloch, who was fired after the Oilers' first-round playoff loss to Edmonton. Probably in Edmonton, they're tired of hearing about this, but they haven't got my spin on it yet. And NHL hockey fans across Canada, I don't think they ever get tired of this. Not to mention a rash of trades that went down on Tuesday that none of us were really expecting. Like, for instance, the Buffalo Sabres acquiring the number 4 pick in the NHL draft in a trade that sent defenseman Bowen Byram to the Chicago Blackhawks on Tuesday night. And I know that it was Tuesday night because I'm sitting in a broadcast booth trying to do baseball of the Red Sox and the Millers, and my phone's going off about these trades. And that's totally fine. My friends are all excited about it, but I don't know. Studies show that men can only keep their minds on one thing at a time. I damn sure I can only keep my mind on one thing at a time. I think women can do more, but men cannot, and I am living proof of that. So as I'm ready to walk this, I'm not walking back the Babcock thing. What I'm ready to do is to put it to bed. And we talk about how the media has changed almost every day on this show. I'm seeing Terry Jones applauding the hiring of Mike Babcock today on his Twitter. I'm seeing mostly all of Edmonton media applauding this move now, whereas up to a couple weeks ago, I didn't even need to tell you what they were saying about Mike Babcock because they were like me. They were all thinking there's no way this is happening, right? This can't be happening. And then it happened. And I'm not even calling those guys out because I've been guilty of this in the past too. But they all did a heel turn, and they're all on board, and they're all singing from the same hymn book because, quite simply, they don't want to not get along with the Edmonton Oilers, and for that matter, Mike Babcock. And let me say this about Babs. It would be unfair for me to call him a narcissist because I've never seen that side of him. People call him that. People have called me that. But I'm not. I know that for a fact. I don't know Mike Babcock well enough to say whether he is or not. And I had lunch yesterday with a very, very, very good hockey contact, who told me kind of a lot of what I knew and a lot of what I didn't know. This, by the way, was the owner's decision, period, end of story, Daryl Cates. So if this blows up, you can blame him. And at the end of the day, he's the owner. He doesn't care. But this was the owner's decision. That's probably how the Cassidy thing, why it didn't happen. Daryl Cates was so offended that he wasn't allowed whatever he wanted to talk to Bruce Cassidy. Oh, we'll go hire this guy. But let me just say this about Mike Babcock. I'm not going to say that he's a narcissist. The behavior, the history is the traits of one, but he's been good to me, which is also a trait of charming when you need it. But anyways, the most powerful man in the world is a narcissist. They say Nick Saban is a narcissist. They say the president of the New York Knicks is a narcissist. Ask my good friend Ron Duguay or anybody who's been run out of New York, James Dolan, the president of MSG. Whether you like it or not, those guys usually, or lately anyways, have won. If you call Mike Babcock a narcissist, he'd probably laugh. And I had a text this morning from a guy that said, sure as hell not going to even hint at who it was. Pretty big-name hockey guy. And he said, what was your take on the news conference, Babs news conference? I said, 100% predictable. And he said, absolutely. I thought the same thing. Basically, didn't apologize for anything. But as I just said, 2 Olympic golds, a Stanley Cup, Memorial Cup final with the Spokane Chiefs. Anybody in Spokane sings his praises. So all I'll say, if he is in fact a narcissist, fits the mold, that might end up being a good thing. And there's something that's going to flip you all right on your ear. It just dawned on me this morning. You guys don't have to live with him. The fans don't even have to have anything to do with him. And this is a short-term deal, 2 years to win a Stanley Cup while Connor McDavid's there, or else he's gone. And that's clearly what Daryl Cates is looking at. So anyways, that's the opening rant, the opening segment on the big story. We'll get to everything else when we come back. It's going to be a fun day here. I guarantee you that. Here on the RP Show, Game Plus, streaming, and more. Be right back.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
21-time nominated Grammy Award winner Dwight Yoakam. Live in concert. June 24th, 7 p.m., Temple Garden Center. Dwight Yoakam. On sale now at sasktix.ca. Dwight Yoakam Live.
Yes, it's Dwight Yoakam night here in Moose Jaw tonight, the biggest show the city's ever seen. I love it. From the audience, BW from Edmonton writes in, he's a truck driver. He says, morning from Loving, New Mexico. After being in the 102-degree heat for the past few days, it's totally understandable why Rod is in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan for the summer. Have a great show. Thank you, BW. So you now get it. I've known it for 3 years. As they say, people need to experience something before they understand it. So I'm tired, got very tired of answering the question of why Canada? Why? Go ask BW from Edmonton, okay? This cool weather is perfecto, sleeping like $1,000,000. By the way, when we talk hockey, it is for the Mad Greek Eatery. Are you craving the famous Greek ribs everybody's talking about? Check them out at the Mad Greek Eatery. Dine in, pick up, or order online at themadgreekeatery.com. And also, Wayne in Victoria, BC, writes in on the Western Dutch text line. He says, happy hump day, Rod. Everything is happening today. I guess Dinwiddie doesn't like Drew Brown as a quarterback. Wayne, everything's happening every day. That's where we're at in the world of sports these days, which is great for a guy like me. What I say, if you don't like what we're talking about, wait 2 minutes. We'll be talking about something else. People are writing in here about soccer, and I get it. Point 2 is this. Alphonso Davies is expected to make his return to the field Wednesday when Canada takes on Switzerland in their final group stage game of this summer's FIFA World Cup. Head coach Jesse Marsh said Tuesday that Davies will not start, but is likely to come on as a substitute. It's a battle for first place in the pool to move on to the knockout round. By the way, talk to Moose. We're not doing a live stream today. BC Game, the global crypto casino that sponsors our live streams, wants to wait until the playoff round. So whatever, welcome again to sports and 2026. Tell me where and when you need me, and I'll be there. Thank you. I do love this, though. I had it written down. How about Moj? Nobody's ever going to get it except for those. Maybe one day when I'm pushing up daisies, as they say, dead and gone, people will get, oh, yeah, Rod was right. He was talking about perspective. It's all about perspective. Everything's about perspective. Everything is about perspective. And we got Bob Marjanovic on yesterday, the voice of the BC Lions, who I thought, Mr. Vancouver sports broadcaster, he would be all over the World Cup. He's a big, multicultural, big city guy. What do you think about the World Cup, Moj? Hate it? Be glad when it's over? Pain in the ass? Well, that's kind of the way a lot of people think. I didn't think Moj would. But when he was talking about the BC Sports Hall of Fame having to move all their stuff out of their offices because the FIFA came in and just took it over, I'm like, have you not hosted world events before? Like, even I equated this, not to Moj, but to a guy I was talking to the other day. In the Regina Brandt Center, when we hosted when it hosted like the Briar or something like that. We had to go and take all the banners down from the Regina Pats Hockey Club. And just so you know, we've won a lot. So when you got to move those suckers, it's a pain in the ass. But it's how it goes. So maybe you wonder why I'm not the biggest curling guy sometimes, or that I was a little surprised. But Moj is entitled to how he feels. Our picks, by the way, are brought to you by Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon, Pump Jack's Cathedral, and Pump Jack's Weyburn. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. I had lunch there yesterday with that hockey contact. So if anybody saw us there, now you know who one of my contacts is. Okay, point 3. Drew Brown is returning to Winnipeg after the Blue Bombers acquired the quarterback in a trade with the Ottawa Redblacks on Tuesday. The Blue Bombers also received a second-round pick in the 2027 CFL draft and sent their first-round selection in 2027 and a conditional second-round pick in 2028 to Ottawa. The move comes after Brown lost his starting job in Ottawa to Jake Mayer before the season. So, and then in a subsequent move, Ottawa turned around and signed veteran CFL quarterback McLeod Bethel-Thompson yesterday. So I'm going to dive into the comments here because that's why a lot of you came. Rob, who's from Vegas, he's a Blue Bombers fan, writes in, he says, the Bombers made a nice trade picking up quarterback Drew Brown. It's a long season, and it's always good to have depth at quarterback. Not sure El Gersma's quite ready to step in if Caleros went down. Well, so for the CFL fans that are here, and a lot have showed up, Ken in Mississauga writes in, he says, I don't understand the Red Blacks quarterback situation. They are Well, I think the house is on fire in a lot of ways, but let's spend a second on this because it's the Canadian Hour. It's summertime. Nobody else is talking about the CFL but us. Not to this degree. Number one, there's all kinds of conjecture and news out there. So somewhere I saw on social media this morning that Drew Brown forced his way out of town. I think the way that it was framed on Twitter was tough week for Ottawa. Top senator forces his way out of town, and number one quarterback forces his way out of town. Well, number one, he's not the number one quarterback. Jake Maier is. And it kind of goes back to today's players. Murph is going to have way more of this perspective on this when he joins us next hour. But those of our generation, of which I get the sense a lot of you are, I know Rob from Vegas, you are, I think Ken from Mississauga, you are. We don't understand because we're of the generation of go where you're told, do what you're told, accept what you're told. And that was the way what's landed me in therapy. But I've come out of it and I'm fine now. But the young players, they're not putting up with it, period. And that includes Drew Brown. So the point of the matter is Sean Burke was the general manager of Ottawa. Previously, he made the trade or signed Drew Brown, however that all worked out. However they got him to Ottawa, Sean Burke thought he was all that. Ryan Dinwiddie does not. And I guess my point is Ken in Mississauga can't figure out Ottawa's quarterback situation. Neither can they. The house is on fire there. Probably the most, the guy wrote at me on Twitter the other day, the happiest guy about Brady Tkachuk asking for a trade is Ryan Dinwiddie because nobody's talking about how terrible the Ottawa Red Blacks are. They made a decision halfway through training camp and that Jake Maier was going to be the guy. Clearly, Drew Brown wasn't okay with it. And to be honest with you, I mean, it doesn't really matter how old you are. I've seen it many, many times. It's very hard to have two number ones. That is a very, 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 very rare situation. Or a young and up-and-coming guy. Because the kids aren't patient. And when they're getting told, when I got into the league, the average career was 3 years long. Now it's 1.5 years long. And you're going to tell Drew Brown, you got to sit. And you're sitting there going, behind that guy? The example that I think of is this. With Saskatchewan in 2013, Darian Durant was our starting quarterback, and we had Drew Willie behind him. Drew, everybody could see, was going to be a number one. And we're just like, if you can just wait, you will be the number one. This is why Shivers had such a tough time with it, because as much as I don't like Roy Shivers, he could find football players. So we had 3 number ones at times, and it caused all kinds of problems. Now, Drew Brown's going to go sit in Winnipeg, but I guess he can see the light at the end of the tunnel a little longer in Zach Collaros' career than what happened in Ottawa. Like, it's similar to what happened in Montreal. As much as mine Cody, because if I was running a football team, he would be my quarterback, but that's just me. But when they moved him, what did Danny Machocha say, the general manager? We couldn't demote Cody. He'd been our guy. He's got to go. I think Cody would have been willing to accept it because he's one of those special guys. But in the end, he didn't have a choice. Went to Edmonton, and that seems to be working out fine. And by the way, who won last week? Oh, yeah, Cody did. Anyways. Just a pause on that for a second. John, thank you. John Edmonton wrote in. He says, breaking news from Edmonton. Kevin Carius, a legendary sportscaster in Edmonton, announced his retirement. I mentioned that earlier. He's been on this show many times. He's my oldest friend in this business, and I can't wait to get a hold of him to see what happened. Doesn't seem like it's anything nefarious. His last day on the air will be Friday. Wouldn't it be nice if you could have an amicable exit? One thing I'm realizing in this mature state of my life, and I'm not talking about my age, I'm talking about my mindset, you can actually part amicably. And I could give you so here's Carey. However it's working, I don't know. But Kevin Carey is leaving Sports 1440 Edmonton. He is the only morning man they've ever known. And I met him on the very second day of broadcasting school in Calgary at Mount Royal. We've been friends ever since. He's pulling the pin. We're old. When I say this about the parting amicably, look at Moose. Moose owned this show up until just over a year ago. And Joe and I bought it from him, but we stayed friends. Moose is still doing partnership deals because if it's somebody he's got a relationship with, he'll do the deal. He gets the money. We're all good. I'm like, you You can do that. You can actually part, as I was talking to Moose yesterday, he had just got back from Los Angeles and the highly successful USA Flag Football Championships, of which Canada got their lunch handed to them by the Team USA men. And he said it was, we got to get Moose back on the air, maybe tomorrow. He was like, you think coaching doesn't matter? He goes, La Police wasn't there because TSN made him stay and do the Calgary SAS game, which was fine. It's fine. That was his priority. Canada got rolled. Moose was telling me that yesterday. And I said to Moose, we were talking about this live stream, and I said, for the soccer, I said, how well did that go over last week, man? I said, you and I go together like butter and toast. And we do. So we bought the show from Darren, and away he went, and we remain friends, and it's all great. And I'm like, oh, man, if it all could go that well. John, here's a good one. John, hey, John in Edmonton, John from Winnipeg, John Ohm says Barnes and Hufnagel each played a half of football. Remember that RP show? Yes. He's talking about Joe Barnes and John Hufnagel, JJ Barnagel, but that's not sustainable. Can the older folk back me up on this? You can do it temporarily. We saw it less than 10 years later with Ken Austin and Tom Burgess. Interchangeable number ones. You can do it for like a year. Nick Foles, Carson Wentz. It can work, but long-term, it ain't going to work. You know, you're right. J.J. Barnagel. That's right around the time that I started becoming a Rough Rider fan, and John Hufnagel. I was like grade 2, 7 years old. Was in my wheelhouse, and I talked to John Hufnagel about that period of time. They were great friends, but they both wanted to play. What does Brian Burke say? By the way, we got to get Berkey. Morning, buddy. We got to get Berkey on. So you can only have one set of hands on the wheel. You can only have one set of hands on the wheel. So it can work, but only temporarily. Monty in Saskatoon writes in, he says, bring Moose back, please. Monty, were you not listening? He's not part of the show anymore, okay? Monty, you hear, but you don't listen. Moose is off doing his own thing. He's not coming back. Can you write it down, Monty, and put it on your fridge and look at it every day? Moose is not coming back daily to the RP show, and I'm freaking tired of dealing with it with you. He's not coming back, Monty. Read my lips. Would you please stop asking? I'm past tired of it. 902-518-3033. John in Edmonton writes in and says, Moose was the best part of the show. Really? Then why are you here still watching? Rob from Vegas writes in and says, gotta have a designated QB1. That's the point. It can work, but not long term. John from Edmonton. Rod, the fallout of Mike Babcock in Edmonton is real. Fans are burning jerseys, getting rid of season tickets, and jumping ship to other teams. That's what I'm reading on social media. Well, again, back to being mature. Knee-jerk reactions. I wrote the book on it. It doesn't end too well. And as I said way off the top of the show, maybe Mike Babcock's a narcissist. Maybe he's not. I don't know him well enough to know. But I can give you a long list of narcissists who've got a very full mantle of trophies and championship rings. And Nick Saban comes to mind. So all I'm saying is if Babcock, this plan works out, those fans are going to be feeling pretty stupid. We'll be right back. You're watching the RP Show on Game Plus streaming, podcast, and WQVZ.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection, booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. It's the RP Show from the Golden Ticket Sports Center. Host your next business staff event at Golden Ticket Sports Center. Experience a unique and dynamic environment perfect for team building, meetings, and corporate fun. Visit GoldenTicketSportsCenter.com to book your event today. Well, I do love the Wednesdays and the hour one when it's just me. Monty in Little Rock, Arkansas. Hello. God, I miss Larry King. Did you all know that he was the color commentator on radio for the Miami Dolphins in 1971 and 72? Larry King. Unbelievable stuff, man. 902-518-3033 is the text line. Monty may still or may not be here. Life will go on. One thing that I've realized, this show and me, like the sun, we come up every day. Everybody orbits around it. Moose is like a planet on the outside. Varies like a planet, but the sun is here every day. And people just orbit around it. That's kind of what it is. Jason in Red Deer writes in and says, Rod's Rant brought to you by Trail Appliances. Great fridges to put written notes on saying Moose isn't coming back. Jeff, the Stamps fan, Writes in, he says, Rod and I go really well. We're like salt and pepper. Yes, I hate you. Jeff, the Stamps fan. No, it's good. We need a little bit of the fly in the ointment, but it's like this whole, like, Monty, get it through your head. Moose hasn't been on this show daily in a year and a half. When are you going to stop asking? I always say it's like this. I really loved McDonald's pizza. I thought it was like the best pizza going. But if I walked into McDonald's every single day and said, are you going to bring back pizza? Number one, when they say no enough times, I would stop going in. When are you going to stop asking? I think eventually they would see me coming and lock the doors. At the very least, grab me by the back of my shirt and belt loop and throw me out. It's not coming back. Stop asking. Thank you. 902-518-3033. The poll question is for Country Thunder music festivals. It's what's Canada's game of the week in the Canadian Football League? And I understand, can we try to put some thought into this instead of just everybody running and banging Saskatchewan on the poll? Like Edmonton, Winnipeg, Thursday night, which, by the way, Murph's going to be with us Thursday in this hour 1, John Murphy, to break down all of week 4 in the CFL and this trade and Macbeth coming back. But anyways, Thursday, Edmonton at Winnipeg. Friday, Toronto against Saskatchewan in Mosaic Stadium. Saturday, touchdown, Kelowna, Calgary at BC. And Sunday, Ottawa at Montreal. And I guess in the terms of this poll question, we need to be accepting of other people's views. For me, it's touchdown Kelowna. It's 2 winless teams. And you can come back from 0-3, but you don't want to. Calgary's 0-2, BC's 0-2. And to be honest, I thought Bob Marjanovic had a really good answer yesterday when I brought up Nathan Rourke. He goes, it's not that Nathan Rourke has been that bad. It's that the other quarterbacks have been that good. And he's not wrong in that. Would they like Nathan to be better? Absolutely. But the Trevor Harrises, the Bo Levis, these guys have been lights out. Zach Collaros in a lot of ways. For those of us that have been around a little longer, it's nice to see that the pendulum's coming back. Are you seeing that? The pendulum is coming back. The old guys are being hired back to come in and fix the mess that the other people screwed up, whether it's Mike Babcock or Trevor Harris or Bo Levi or whatever, McLeod Bethel Thompson. Like it's taken a long time, but it's coming. We would like to speed it up for those of us that are proven and have done things in this world, but they're coming back. Thank you, John for the support. Kirk writes in from Toronto, 902-518-3033. He says, hey, Rod, the Red Blacks are a grease fire. And also, ditch that stupid name. It is a weird name. What the hell? Jeff Hunt, the one-time owner of the Ottawa Red Blacks, was a really good friend of mine. He left the CFL for reasons that are for him to say. But we talked about the Ottawa Red Blacks name when it came out. I'm like, what are you doing? That is what? He was very upset. I think they would have been the Rough Riders, too, if they'd had their druthers. But Sask wouldn't let him. Jim Hobson, my buddy. That was a great rivalry about 10 years ago for a variety of reasons, but the Saskatchewan Rough Riders wouldn't let them use the name. They're all pissed off about it. They went with the Red Blacks, and Jeff's like, you got to kind of be from here or live here to get it. I mean, I get all the teams are red and black. I get that, but what is a red black? You can't hug a red black. You're not fearful of a red black, but whatever. I don't think that's why they're losing, just like I don't think the name Edmonton Elks is why they're losing, but it certainly doesn't help. Vintage Sasko writes in, 902-518-3033, Western Dodge text line. He says, hi, Uncle Rod. Sounds like Monty, maybe the RP show, chicken cannon target of the week. Let's go, Canada, signed Vintage Sasko. I mean, after a while, stop asking, guy. It's been over a year, bro. Wayne in Victoria writes, and he says, I hope the Mike Babcock hire works in Edmonton, since I'm a fan of Connor McDavid and would like to see him get a Stanley Cup. That's the one thing about the players in life. I can tell you this for free. People just want to know, can you help me? They don't care how you got there. They don't care really what your record is. It's like there's a lot of parallels in life. And so when I heard this story that Babcock sat down with those top Oilers players and said, this is why you lost, I could see why he sold them. I mean, let's be honest. He was selling himself for the job. He's got the resume. And would anybody say that he doesn't know how to win? He does. It's very similar to my recovery business, the mental health and addiction recovery business. Nobody has ever asked for my credentials, even though they have them. I have them. Certification, diploma, you name, intervention. Nobody's ever asked. Can you help me? Yes, I can. That's all people care about. And it's similar to the Oilers players. Can you help us win a Stanley Cup? Yes, I can. And here's why. And that's what I do with my clients all the time. Here's the top of the mountain. Here's how we're going to get there. You and me together. Let's go. And they want to run through a wall. I'm sure those Oilers players do want to run through a wall for Babcock. And I'll say this again with John saying they're burning jerseys, canceling season tickets. That's just what people do. I'll guarantee you that the Oilers don't care about that. They know that those people will be back, especially if they win. But the other thing is, when you got certain media fanning the fire, fanning the flames, throwing gas on it, again, they've got this guy built up like the next Jerry Sandusky, and he's not that. He was hard on some players and worked on some, worked on others. And I'll also say something, too, which is a crappy thing about this life, this world, and this business of sports and media. No players were really standing up to defend Mike Babcock, were they? Did you notice? Hardly any. That's life. That's that whole looking around in the foxhole and seeing who's there for you. Like when I was announced to the CKRM Hall of Fame this summer, you think I didn't think about who the people that weren't around when I needed them? It was pretty lonely there for a real long time. But I got all the names. As does, I'm sure, Mike Babcock. See what I'm saying? People aren't lining up to give you support. And now he's got the job. He'll probably win. He'll remember who bailed, just like we all do. 902-518-3033. It is hour one of the RP show. What do we got, David in Winnipeg? David number 2. Oh, hang on. We got less than a minute. This might have to carry over. Oh, he says, Drew Brown back in town is a great move for the Bombers. I think he is a far better quarterback than Jake Maier. I do not understand Ottawa. Bombers now have amazing depth. If you keep looking back, eventually you will run into a wall. March on, Rod. That's why the windshield is this big and the rearview mirror is this big. We'll be right back. Sports update and viewer takeover the rest of the way to the top of the hour. Scott Belford coming up in hour 2. It's the RP Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back. What? This has been a ton of fun, hasn't it? Except for Monty. Jeremy writes in from Winnipeg. He says, canceling tickets, blah, blah, blah. It's the generation we're in, people overreact. By Christmas, they're first in the West. Everyone will be all over the orders. Absolutely. There's a few people that think this might actually work, you know, and I'll say it again. He's not Jerry Sandusky. He's not Graham James. Pump the brakes. This is this whole mob mentality that you really got to watch out for. Thank you. Oh, from the Rick Resch. The Rick Resch? My eyes are bad. Corey, check it. It's all good. It's in the comments on the YouTube stream. He says, thank God for your show, Rod. Waiting for my wife's doctor's appointment to end. I want to tell them to play your show on the TV in the waiting room. That is the great thing about streaming and YouTube, and don't tell Silver State because they're a television channel still, but the streaming they keep saying is the way to go. The Game Plus guys are all excited that we're on their YouTube channel. You can go check it out, but we were not going to abandon ours. But you can watch us anywhere, take us anywhere. And by the way, God bless you, Rick Resch, for taking your wife to the doctor. But I don't think he's watching right now, so I'll be careful with what I say. But Bill Lindsay came out of the bullpen. I did call Randy Moeller to come on, because you all know Randy Moeller, the pride of Red Deer. I'm like, Moles, can you come on and talk about Brady Tkachuk? He's like, Rod, I got to drive my wife to the doctor. You guys not have Uber? Oh, you're good husbands. You're good husbands. I get it. But Randy Moeller couldn't come on. He's like, try Bill. I'm like, already on it. Paul in Humboldt writes in, he says, Jacques Chapdelaine said, if we score 32 points, we should win, right? Lions fans need to look at the defense for improvement. They got a lot of problems. Paul, if you did not go back and watch the Bob Marjanovic interview yesterday, I mean, he was polishing it as well as he could. But they got problems in BC. The good news for them is they've gone to the lab to fix them. That's the one thing about losing early that everybody forgets in football. The teams that start slow go to work to fix the problems. The ones that win early think they're the Popes at Chilitown, and they don't really change anything, and it catches up to them. more times than not. Jeremy in Winnipeg writes in and says, I think it's going to work because Babcock is taking them to the Cup. I know, right? And that's all these fans are going to feel like such knobs when that happens. Jeremy, I don't think you were here off the top of the show. I'll say this again. Like, I don't want to call Mike Babcock a narcissist because I have no reason to think that way. But I also understand there's, people have treat people differently in multiple situations. That's for sure. I treat everybody the same, but I'm rare. I'll tell you something. Here's another life lesson for you. I treat everybody the same, from the CEO to the janitor. Problem with that is the CEOs don't like it. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, while quarterback play has been great, the continuation at this pace probably isn't likely. I don't think it can be. It's historic high level of quarterback play, and thank God for the QBR. The only thing I don't like about the QBR is that it does not factor in wins. Just like fantasy football stats don't factor in wins, and they should, because guys like Cody Fajardo have the unmeasurable ability to will a team to win. And even the football guys have said to me, Rod, you're right. It should be in there, but it's not calculated in goalie stats, quarterback stats, at the most important position in the sport. In their respective sports, they don't factor in wins. And Cody is the perfect example of a guy, or Grant Fuhr. That's another thing, by the way, that I love about this town. Hockey morning, noon, and night. Hockey morning, noon, and night. Last night in the press box of the baseball game, we were in a rain delay. What are we talking about? The CHL top 50 and whether Grant Fuhr should have been on it or not. Like, it's made for me. Rob in Vegas says BC Lions racked with injuries early in the season. Yes, but that doesn't account for the fact they can't cover anybody or really get after a quarterback. I get what you're saying. They can't get off the field, but hang on. Jason in Red Deer says, Rod, curious if you've heard rumors or where you think Bruce Cassidy may end up now that the Oilers went with Babcock. He's not ending up anywhere. And if you were watching earlier, I said I had lunch with a hockey guy yesterday, and then it was with hockey guys last night at the baseball game, and everybody, there's no jobs left. The last job was Edmonton. And at some point, I'll get to the bottom of this. I didn't want to disrupt people. I got it out of the Golden Knights organization, let's put it this way, that Bruce Cassidy was going to Edmonton, and quite frankly, nobody had a problem with it. Everybody realized that change had to be made. They just expected he would go, and then at the end of this, I'm starting to piece together some of what happened here. Kelly didn't want to talk, let them talk during the playoffs. Everybody was fine with that. Now the reports come out that the Golden Knights were upset at the way the Oilers handled the situation. They still had Chris Knobloch there, but reached out to talk to Cassidy. They thought that was wrong. And I sit there and go, what business is that of the Golden Knights or Kelly McCrimmon's? It's bad. It's the way they do business, but so what? Without divulging too much. And thank you, Westy, divulging how things go on. Apparently, Jim Hiller's wife said Rod has better information than the talking heads on TV. And I said to Westy, that's not true, because I said Cassidy's going to Edmonton and I was wrong. And Westy goes, yeah, but that situation changed from the time you reported that to what happened. That changed in between. Hiller's wife says you're the man. I've never even met the lady. But anyways, I think Daryl Cates, who I understand might not be the easiest guy to get along with, took such umbrage with being dangled by the Kelly McCrimmon Vegas Golden Knights that he's like, piss on you. This is what I'm starting to piece together. I'm going to go hire Babcock. And you think anybody in that organization with the Oilers is going to be able to tell Daryl Cates, no, it didn't happen. That's how I think that all went down. I can't have because at the outset of this, I can say it now. I think Cassidy wanted to go to Edmonton. Clearly, Edmonton wanted Cassidy. Why didn't it what happened in between? Daryl Cates happened. That's what I think happened. Well, Jeremy in Winnipeg writes in and says, so how ignorant is Vegas? Now Cassidy can't get a job. Ignorant would not be the proper ignorant. If you look up the definition of ignorant, it's unaware. They're not unaware. They just look bad. But you have to understand, this is not grade 7 playing on the playground. This is big time sports. And I don't think the Golden Knights feel bad for Bruce Cassidy because they're going to pay him $4.5 million to stay home. I brought this up earlier, or like months ago, but I'll bring it up again. Let's just check ourselves for a second. You're going to get $4.5 million in an income tax-free state to stay home for a year. I'll take it. I've been paid to stay home. It's amazing, and it wasn't for $4.5 million. I was sitting around with a bunch of football coaches in Florida, and they were talking about a friend of theirs who had been fired by a college and was owed $1.2 million for the year, and he was fired. He had a year left, and the school said, you got to show up, sit at a desk for 6 hours a day to get your $1.2 million. And the football coaches were like, can you believe they did that? Yeah, so what? I know a lot of people that show up at a desk for 6 hours and do nothing all day for far less than $1.2 million. I would do it. Give your head a shake. The one thing I heard about Cassidy is that somebody said, just heard this yesterday, 63, and he's worried about coaching again. He shouldn't be. How old's Babs, I think, was born in 63. So I make him 63. These guys are all getting jobs. Look at Torts. So it's not necessarily a young man's business in the coaching game, as we're finding out. Rob from Vegas. I hope you don't mind me referring to you, Rob, as Rob from Vegas. I don't think you do mind because he's moved since then. But it's in his handle on YouTube. He says Cody Fajardo is a gamer. He's the CFL's Baker Mayfield as far as I'm concerned. You would have to shoot him with a bullet to get him to stop. And why I love a guy, I'm the same. I am what I say earlier. This show, I'm like the sun coming up every day. People orbit around it. Moose is one of those planets. Various other people are those. I'm here every day. It's nothing heroic. You're here every day too. Don't get it twisted. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying. Brian writes in from Winnipeg. He says, Cassidy is not suffering. Right. Can we just, he'll be coaching somewhere. It's interesting, by the way. It's been a very busy time. My Florida friends are like, how come we never hear from you? I said, I'm working 10, 11, 12 hours a day. I don't have a lot of time in the summers, which is kind of backwards, but it's fine. I love it. But I want to look into the Regina Pats coaching situation, hiring this David Bell that's caught everybody off guard here in Western Canada. Dale, if you're listening, the general manager, can you text me? Did you know him before? That's what everybody wants to know. Because there's a big split between the West and the East. Newsflash, like a huge split in Canada, not just politically, geographically, but also sports-wise. And the guys from the West don't usually talk to the guys from the East that much. But because of Dale Durkach's history in the National Hockey League, working with Washington and Toronto, I kind of got a sense that he would know very well who David Bell was, and maybe he knew him before. He's the new head coach of the Regina Pats, but everybody out here in the West is going, who is this guy? That's not to say it's not going to work, because sitting right here in Moose Jaw, Mark O'Leary is the cat's meow. And he's from Ontario. Not saying it's not going to work, we just didn't know who he was. Jeremy, let's continue this next hour. He says, yeah, getting paid is one thing. That's just a little thank you. But most coaches would rather coach than be paid to sit at home, right? No. Cassidy's not okay with it. But I think we're all sitting here going, it could be a hell of a lot worse. That's all that we're saying. I feel like we need to carry this over next hour, okay? So stick around. And stand-up comic Scott Belford will be here too. RP Show continues right after this.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, A big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
I just hope you're having a fantastic summer, because I can tell you what, I sure am. Welcome to the RP Show. It is hour 2. We're welcoming viewers across Nevada on Silver State Sports. Big night there. The A's taking on the Giants. We have some Vegas things we're going to get to. One thing I've discerned today in these dog days of summer, the boys want to talk hockey. Yes, they say that we're Vegas' favorite hockey show, and I'm certainly down for that. But it's a special day, too, because was a guy that's become our good friend, Scott Belford's going to be with us. He is a stand-up comedian, but he is also the host of the Walk-Off podcast. And he just does a great job. And we've had these discussions before about who's his favorite all-time stand-up comic. And his, spoiler alert, it's George Carlin. I've never forgot that. I can't decide who mine is. Well, I can. It's Andrew Dice Clay. Don't judge me. He's my favorite of all time, and that's a story for another time. But I happened to be in Vegas the night Don Rickles died. The night Don Rickles died, I was in Las Vegas. Does any Las Vegans remember that? Rob from Vegas, who's still watching, do you remember that? They killed every light on the strip for like a full minute at 9 p.m. to honor the passing of Don Rickles. So, yeah, he's pretty good. They're all good. It's not an easy trade. None are, especially this perilous sports talk business. Okay, the big story, as we sit here right now, we haven't had any earth-shattering sports news come down today because we had enough from yesterday. And I'm going to open this up like I did an hour ago when we were on Game Plus streaming, WQVZ Radio. Shout out US South and Rhino Media there. Mike Babcock's coaching career has included a Stanley Cup title, 2 Olympic gold medals, high-profile NHL jobs, and scrutiny over his treatment of players. The Edmonton Oilers announced that Babcock has been hired as the team's new head coach, taking over from Chris Knobloch, who was fired after the Oilers' first-round playoff loss to Anaheim. That just was wedged in with a whole bunch of really big, high-profile trades. It started on Sunday with Brady Tkachuk getting moved from Ottawa to Florida. I think they've kind of stopped toilet papering him, lighting him on fire. I think they're past that, and they're looking forward because they got traded. Well, whatever. I'm not going to get into all those trades. You got TSN and Sportsnet for that. Let me just spend a second on Mike Babcock, who's been talking about this for an hour, and people kind of wonder why he is so revered where we come from. And we're from Saskatchewan. Kelly McCrimmon's from Saskatchewan. All the best are from Saskatchewan, including you, producer Corey, because you're there now. So, listen, you're one of us. You're one of us. And that's one thing. Number two, with Mike Babcock, I'm sorry I need to keep saying it, but I feel like somebody needs to jump on the foxhole with Babs because they're lighting jerseys on fire in Edmonton. Not everybody, but so many people are upset about the hiring of Mike Babcock with the Oilers. He's not Jerry Sandusky. He's not Graham James. He's none of those things. He had to be investigated by the NHL for treatment of players. Never laid a hand on a player. And what I've pieced together here after speaking to my guys, and I had a hockey guy's probably watching right now. I had a hockey guy text me. I'm not even going to hint close to who it is because you'll guess. And he just said, what did you think of Bab's news conference yesterday? And I said, it was 100% what I thought it would be. He didn't apologize for anything he's ever done. He never does. He's looking forward, not back. That's Mike Babcock. And those former players of his that hate him call him a narcissist, and maybe he is, but I've never seen that side of him. But you know what? I'm not going to get into the narcissist I've dealt with in my life, but I understand it's very hard. You see this side, but nobody else does, and you think you're crazy. I get all that. But this is the National Hockey League, and the Edmonton Oilers want to win, and my point of this is let's just say that he is a narcissist. I don't know. But he wouldn't be the first narcissist to be at the top of the food chain that wins. They say that about Nick Saban. They say that about Donald Trump. Last I checked, he's the most powerful man in the world. So the Oilers want to win. And what I've pieced together here a little bit without talking to any of my Vegas contacts, because I don't want to get anybody in trouble there. The feeling was that Bruce Cassidy was going to go to Edmonton. That's why I reported it 2 weeks ago. And a guy said to me the other day, he's like, don't worry, Rod, things changed. And what changed was, now that I sit here and say it out loud, Daryl Cates, the owner of the Oilers, who may fit that category I was just talking about, was so offended that he didn't have the power to interview Bruce Cassidy because Kelly McCrimmon held the power. He said, screw it. I'm going to go hire Mike Babcock. And you know what? They might go on and end up winning the Stanley Cup. They probably will. That's the thing. So with the people that are writing in here from Edmonton that are all upset, and they're saying people are burning their jerseys, canceling their season tickets, fans always do that. Who cares? They're the ones that pay in the end. You can pay $285 for a jersey and burn it. You're the knob. Not Mike Babcock, not Daryl Cates. You. So let's make that straight. And we'll see. I mean, same thing with the president of Madison Square Garden Network. Anybody that I know that's worked for him, and Ron Duguay won't mind me saying I got the go-ahead from Dukes. They hate each other. And the first guy I thought of when the Knicks won the Larry O'Brien was Duguay, because he's not only the president of the New York Knicks and was given the trophy by David Silver, he's also the president of the New York Rangers, and they hate each other. Welcome to life. By the way, I did mention Scott Belford's going to be with us, stand-up comic, host of the Walk-Off podcast. What I didn't mention is that it's brought to you by Prairie Panels. Are you building a shop, barn, rink, or commercial space? Prairie Panels provides high-quality insulated wall and roof panels designed for durability and energy efficiency. Visit prairiepanels.ca or call 306-985-0050. I've kind of had enough on that. I could obviously go on for hours, but there are other things going on, they tell me. The warm-up is brought to you by Uniglobe Carefree Travel Group, the preferred travel partner of the Rod Pedersen Show, and the CFL's BC Lions. We had their outstanding broadcaster on yesterday, Bob Marjanovic, and I appreciated his honesty and openness, but that's the Moj that I know. When it comes to sports trips, group travel, or your next great getaway, trust the pros who handle every detail so you can enjoy the journey. Contact Neil Chark at Uniglobe Carefree Travel. So point 2 is this. By the time this airs in certain locales, the game will be over. But point 2, Alphonso Davies is expected to make his return to the field today when Canada takes on Switzerland in their final group stage game of this summer's FIFA World Cup. Head coach Jesse Marsh said Tuesday that Davies will not start, but is likely to come on as a substitute. Canada controls its own destiny. Heading into the game, a win or a draw against Switzerland in Vancouver today would see the Canadians win Group B and earn a round of 32 game back at BC Place. So, back to the way the world works. I mean, sports is just, as screwed up as it is, it's just a mirror and microcosm of the world in general. So, our betting partner, I guess now, for the BC game is the name of the company. They're a European, global crypto casino based out of Europe that commissioned Moose and I to host a live stream, the highly successful Canada-Qatar game live stream we did last week. They're like, will you come back and do another one? How about next Wednesday, Canada-Switzerland? Well, the way the dominoes have all fallen here, they said, we're not going to do a live stream for that. Let's do it in the playoff round. They're the sponsor. At your beck and call. You let us know. So we're not doing a live stream today, but we will be watching. And part of the other games for the World Cup, which, hang on one second. Switzerland, Canada, as I mentioned. Bosnia-Herzegovina versus Qatar. Scotland versus Brazil. Morocco versus Haiti. South Africa versus Korea. And Czechia versus Mexico. For the benefit of those that weren't watching yesterday, although I feel like many of you were, a lot of us wouldn't have cared about this in the past. Let's just be honest. This tournament wouldn't have been in Canada or North America in the past. But here we are. I saw, let's be honest. You can't turn around in this country and not see World Cup coverage, which is fantastic. I get that. I see every single home game Canada plays is $70 million into the Vancouver economy. That's basically a Grey Cup once a week for a month or more if they keep winning. Back to that interview with Moj yesterday, which I didn't see this coming. That's when my guests are the best. I said, Moj, what do you think about the World Cup there in your backyard? You're Mr. Big City, Mr. Multicultural. He's like, I hate it. We didn't say hate it. I'll say that. But he's like, it's a pain in the ass. Forced us out of town. Drove up the cost on everything. He's not down. But he has his reasons. But when they say the BC Sports Hall of Fame got forced out of their offices because of FIFA taking over BC Place, I'm like, what did you expect? And then $70 million? I'm sure all the downtown restaurateurs and hoteliers were like, let us help you move that stuff out of the office. We'll help you move it back. Probably not, but ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching is what the World Cup has meant, and good for them. And I would have never been into it before. And the poll question for me would have been today, are you following the World Cup? Will you be following the World Cup? But it's not. It's Wednesday. We have a tradition here. We've been on the air for 8 seasons, various channels, various forms. One thing that has never changed is Wednesday in the summer is our What's Canada's Game of the Week in the Canadian Football League. That's the poll for our friends at Country Thunder Music Festivals. Did I mention Dwight Yoakam's here tonight? That might be the biggest reason why I'm so excited. But Country Thunder brings you our daily poll. Biggest party this summer is coming to Craven, Saskatchewan, July 9th to the 12th, featuring Lainey Wilson, Creed, The RP Show, and you, right? Buy your tickets at countrythunder.com/SK. You can get your weekend passes for as low as $50. Here are the games. Because from what we hear from the Vegas viewers, because they love football so much. Monty's back. Hello, Monty. Go, Canada, go. Hang on. I just looked down at my own peril at all the comments. There are a million here. Hang on. Here are your games. Thursday, Edmonton Elks at the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Friday, Toronto at Saskatchewan. Saturday, Calgary plays BC and touchdown Kelowna, British Columbia. Beautiful place. Had a lot of fun there. And Ottawa at Montreal on Sunday. My vote is Calgary, BC. It's 2 winless teams. The team that loses that game is going to be in a bind. The team that wins is going to be in decent shape. So you can vote on that. That's my answer to that. Calgary, BC. And by the way, no, I'm not going to the football game Friday night. I went to the last home game here as a guest of the visiting team, the BC Lions. People don't understand it. It's why I can't live there. They don't understand. I'll just say it right now. In that city, why wouldn't you go to the game? I did the games for 20 years. It was a part of my life. It would be like me going back to high school parties after I graduated high school. I don't fit here. I just don't. I'm a fan. I'll be watching on television. Go Riders. I'm not comfortable going to the games. Thanks. Of course, Jason and Red, you're always updates it. And I owe 111 Eastern. Thank you, Carlos in Indiana. 111 Eastern, 1111 Mountain. Listen, guys. People are telling me they're doing this and it works. And I could have told you it's worked because I've done it multiple times. But visualize a positive outcome to your current situation. Just live in it. See yourself in it. And then live there. And the world catches up. It works. I'm doing it right now. So anyways, Jason and Red Deer, you take the time to go and type in the poll results. 42% are saying the Toronto-Saskatchewan game. I said, can you please put a little thought into voting instead of just banging the Rough Rider? No, they're going to vote for their team, and that's fine. 42% Toronto-Sask, 31% touchdown Kelowna, 27% Edmonton, Winnipeg, and then 0% Ottawa, Montreal. The East needs to beef it up. Vancouver Eric, appreciate you, bro. He writes that he says, projected cost of hosting the World Cup, $720 million. I'll be paying for the tournament for the next decade. Vancouver Eric also says, by the way, Western Canada, I saw this, Western Canada needs its own sports channel. You know, we tried that. Not we. When I say we, I'm saying the sports media industry in Canada tried it. And for whatever reason, it didn't work. Probably mismanaged like everything else, but it just didn't work. Oh, Ken in Mississauga, you're using my own words on me. And, you're just reminding you. We're talking about Mike Babcock. I said Mike Babcock looks forward. He doesn't look back. That's Babs. That's why he wins. And again, the people will tell you that he could treat people better, but I've never seen that because he's always been nothing but unbelievable to me. Not just saying yes to come on the interviews, by the way. Every time I say, Rod, how are you? Like from across the hallway, he'll make a beeline, whatever. I've never played for him. So that's why I'm not comfortable with even labeling him as a narcissist. People say that. I've never seen that. But the point is, I mentioned last hour, I don't even know how it came up. But I said there's a reason the windshield is this wide and this big, and the rearview mirror is this big, because you're supposed to be looking this way, not looking that way. And the sooner you figure that out, I will guarantee you, the happier you will be. Look at all this free stuff you're getting here from the certified mental health and addiction recovery coach here. Jeff, the Stamps fan. You're into it, Jeff. He says, so if you're from Switzerland, Qatar, and you're now living in Canada, who are you cheering for? Well, the Switzerland, they say they don't cheer for anybody, right? They're probably cheering for the opposition. Where's this from Brent in Wellington? Brent, my boy, Brent from the home office in Wellington, Florida, which we had the guy wrote in here earlier. He was in New Mexico trucking, and he's like, oh, my God, I see why Rod's in Canada for the summer. I was saying to Brent the other day, I said, I miss you guys. I miss my Florida family. And Brent's like, oh, hey, I'd be up there with you if I could be. You enjoy it. Brent said that. And he writes in here today, listen, Oiler fans, you could always go cheer for the Leafs because they're in better shape. Hey, the Oilers are Toronto West. Didn't work with Babs there either, but Scott Belford will be great. He's coming up next on Silver State Sports and Game Plus streaming.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote your apple, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. As I said, I couldn't wait for this. Scott Belford joins us. I always enjoy our chats with a stand-up comic, host of the Walk-Off podcast. He does such a great job with that. And Scott, where are you joining us from today, my brother?
Oh, Mr. Pedersen, always a pleasure to join you. Love talking baseball with you. I'm actually on the East Coast right now. I'm in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and always on the road. So you whenever we talk, you've always found me in a new place of this country.
And you're taking your gear with you all the time, just in case you got asked to come on. Silver State Sports and Game Plus streaming. Yeah, you're ready. You must have been a Boy Scout. But Scott, that's where we're airing. Yeah. So home of the Blue Nose, home of Brad Marchand. He's in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Well, listen, before we get to the baseball, which I want an update from you because I've been busy in hockey and football and actually a little baseball here in Western Canada, but the hockey, you're Canadian. So you must be following the goings on with Mike Babcock and all these crazy trades. Is it on your radar? Where you're at?
Oh, of course it is. I'm a big Flames fan, so after that trade the other day there, that's pretty exciting stuff. And I mean, the fact Mike Babcock is back in the league, I kind of like it. I know that there's a lot of pushback on it, but if nothing else as a hockey fan, it is a story to follow, and it should be pretty interesting to see how things kind of go there in Edmonton over the first few months of his tenure.
When you say you're a Flames fan, are you the Flames fan that gets out of bed every day thinking of new ways to hate the Oilers and you hope that this team implodes under Mike Babcock? Or that's most Flames fans I know are like that. So how do you think this will play out? Yeah.
I was born in 1982, so my hatred of the Oilers did run deep for a while there, although I'll be honest, it has diminished over the time here. They just both haven't been competitive teams at the same time in so long,
Yeah.
and they've kind of crossed paths a few times where you get that Battle of Alberta excitement again, but there honestly just hasn't been enough of it to really inspire the dislike and hatred I had in maybe my teens and early 20s for the team. So, no, I don't hope for the Oilers, but am I spending all my time hoping for their demise? Not anymore.
Okay. Well, you have friends that do, though. I will guarantee you have friends
For
that
sure I
do.
do, yes.
Right, yeah, because I know a lot of people like that. Okay, listen, I love the baseball talk with you, but I really love the stand-up comic talk with you, and we'll get to that near the end if we have time. And I want to see you in person so bad.
One of
But as
these
far as
times, Rod,
baseball,
it'll happen.
I know. Well, you got to let me know where you're at. Yeah. But what I
Yes.
say, by the way, as in Canada, and I don't think you would disagree, as Canadians, we or even on this show, we follow the NHL, the CFL, the NFL, and the Blue Jays when they're winning. And they're not winning. And that's why I need you to update me on what's going on across all of Major League Baseball, especially with the A's since we're airing in Vegas, but also just the Jays. What's your read on this season for them?
They started abysmally and had a ton of bad luck. The injuries really piled up on them. Everyone thought that the starting pitching was going to be their strength going into the season, that they had 8 to 9 starters ready to go. And by the time things got rolling, they had 3 or 4 starters and were really doing a bunch of bullpen days, and they just weren't able to pile up the wins. The Toronto Blue Jays, despite what everyone may think, has been the best team in Major League Baseball over the last 30 games. They are 18-13. They've crawled out of the cellar and are now back sitting around 500. They're in that final wild card spot. The American League has been a good place for them this year because it's been a pretty abysmal league, and the National League definitely has all of the superpowers when it comes to the top baseball teams in the league right now. But it has kind of set the Blue Jays up with 85 games remaining to truly make some hay in the last half of this season. I know that with Shane Bieber coming off the IL yesterday, it was kind of a little bit of a disappointing start for him. He hit his spots almost too much, Rod, if that's possible. He was too in the strike zone. This is a guy who tops out around 92, 93. Very Greg Maddux-esque in the way he pitches. Like when he won the Cy Young in 2020, it was because his stuff is elite, but it's not velocity based. So he was hitting the corners. He was getting whiffs on the outside corners. He was getting guys expanding their strike zone and swinging at pitches they had no business doing. And yesterday was his first game back since Game 7 of the World Series. He's missed, a good chunk of the season so far. And so the first 3 innings were exciting. You started to feel like maybe we've got this top caliber ace type pitcher back up and running, and then he kind of fell apart in the 4th there, allowing back-to-back home runs and got chased in the 4th inning. The Blue Jays had a good game yesterday. Wound up losing in the 11th inning in a disappointing fashion, but honestly, if this team can just kind of continue to win series, and that's what they've done. They haven't put together, Rod, a winning streak. They haven't put together any of those 8 or 9 in a row where you just all of a sudden go from middle of the pack to the top, but they have been chiseling away at this big hole that they dug out of the top of, out of the start of the season, I should say.
I'm a headline reader, and I haven't been watching the games. I've been broadcasting baseball, and when I haven't been broadcasting baseball, I've been doing other things. It looks, from what I see, that George Springer's launching some bombs now, but where's Vladdy? I saw everybody was on his ass at the start of the year. Has he come out of it?
Yeah, so George has started to find his swing. I mean, in the last 10 games, you're seeing him around that 350 batting average. He's hitting dingers right now. He's had 3 in his last 11 games. George is starting to find his footing. Vladdy, in all honesty, if I knew what was wrong with him, I would probably be employed by the Toronto Blue Jays at this point. This is the biggest slump of his career, Rod. And that is no exaggeration either, right? Like, this isn't hyperbole. He played better in his rookie season than he is right now. Baseball is such a battle of attrition. And it's one of those things that and sports guys talk about quicksand, right? And the mental side of it. And once things start to go poorly, you kind of can dig yourself a bigger hole by just thinking about it too much. And I think that that's kind of where Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is right now. We've seen his power all but disappear. Even his plate discipline, which was elite in the playoffs last year, he looks like a different player. So I'm not sure what needs to happen to see him kind of come out of this. I know that they're working at it nonstop, and baseball's a funny sport in that one of these times you'll have me on in the end of July and we'll be talking about, my goodness, what a heater Vladdy's on. I don't think that this is, time to panic or anything. It is still June, but 2.5 months without your star player that's getting paid $500 million, that's tough to take right now. So the only good news is, Rod, is that it can't get worse for Vladdy. So there is, knock on all the wood, but there is nothing but upward motion that could happen from here, or that's the dream.
It's amazing to me, and I'll take a minute on this. You got 12 more minutes with me?
Oh, absolutely.
It's people don't see it. And I work in the mental health realm, and you would think that sports and mental health would come together more, but they don't. And teams have these psychologists on staff, but I'm like, most guys or gals have never swung a bat or never put on skates, so they can't help Vladdy. And it's like, what do you think happened? He just signed the richest deal in Blue Jays history. And then he went in the crapper. It's exactly what happened to Sergei Bobrovsky for 2 years with the Florida Panthers when he signed a $10 million per year deal. They should have Vladdy call Bob and say, how did you deal with it? There's got to be what it is. The pressure of the contract has to be it.
It has to be contributing to it anyways. I know that that's one of the things that the fans keep bringing up. And that's the thing when you're paid as well as a guy like Bob is or as well as Vladdy is that that's the first thing fans point to when you're in a slump is we're paying for this performance. And even though you look at what has gone on since, and he's got 2 Stanley Cup rings, and things kind of came together, and where would this Panthers team be without him? You can say the same thing about the Blue Jays with Vladdy last year in the playoffs. This team would not have succeeded like they did. They would not have gone all the way to the 11th inning, Game 7 of the World Series without Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and his performance. But, my goodness, when he's slumping, and yeah, that dollar sign, that figure they're paying him definitely weighs heavily. I'm sure it does.
Yeah, and here's the thing. When Bob's retired, it would be nice if somebody sat him down and said, how did you work your way out of that, Bob? But nobody ever does. Nobody cares. You're not useful to us anymore, so bye. Okay, at the start of the year.
On to the next overpaid guy. Yeah.
Exactly. The last time you were on, I think it was the last time we were going into the season, and you said you had high hopes for the A's. And because they air on this very television station on Silver State Sports, I'm watching what they're doing. It's like up, and sometimes they're leading the division, sometimes the middle of the pack. They're never in the bottom. But it really seems to be an up and down season for the A's.
The A's have been interesting. I think, they're only, I think they're 3 games behind 500 at this point. They're second in the AL West. They're still in their division right now. They've got a chance to take it all. I don't think they will. They're young and they're up and coming. One of the things the A's could use is a stud starting pitcher at the top of that rotation to kind of steady things, because one of the things the A's have struggled with is they'll lose 2 or 3 and there's not really anybody of the upper echelon caliber or starters that can just stop it, right? And that's no offense to Luis Severino. That's no offense to some of the guys they've got in their rotation. It's a fine starting rotation. But if they'd like to take the next step, they probably need to spend some money, which isn't really in the A's MO, but with them moving to Vegas and the owner viewing that as kind of when they're going to go all in, maybe they can be a player in free agency here. And with this CBA looming over Major League Baseball right now, Rod, I think a lot of teams like the A's are just kind of holding on to see what happens in this offseason, and will kind of go from there on their spending.
Stand-up comic Scott Belford from the Walk-Off Podcast with us. How excited are you for the All-Star Game?
I don't know how to answer that. I don't wish to be a wet blanket here, but I mean, all-star games in general, they have found a way to make them far more fun in many of these different sports lately. Baseball used to be one of those ones where it determined the home field advantage of the World Series play, right? So the American League and the National League tended to get pretty into it in their all-star games. That has changed a little bit now. I really like the home run derby. I think it's a lot of fun and I tend to pay attention to that. But it's tough to watch an all-star game where you can just tell nobody cares and there's no competitiveness, and it's fun to see all the stars come together. So on an excitement level, if you just want a number, like a 6 out of 10. I'm probably a 9 out of 10 for the home run derby, though. I always love watching those guys just being lobbed balls and hitting bombs.
I'm totally 9 out of 10 for the home run derby. And if you obviously saw, because you're a baseball guy, they've changed the format. They went back to, which I love, X amount of pitches. I think it's 20 pitches instead of a timing, because they were throwing as many balls as they could. And so I stood beside guys in our league, Western Canadian Baseball League, All-Star. Those guys are getting tired. It was too much having a timer on it. This to me, I think it's 20. Most home runs in 20 pitches seems a hell of a lot easier to track than how many you can hit in 30 seconds of balls being thrown at you. This should make it better.
I think it will. I absolutely agree. I think that getting rid of the timer is also going to make it more even amongst the hitters, right? Like there's just guys who maybe have a little bit more stamina than others, but when it comes to the home run derby, I don't really care about the stamina. I'd like to see the big boys hit monster bombs, right? And I think that this new format kind of lends itself to that a little bit more.
Yeah, let the big dogs eat. That's the way they used to do it, and I'm glad they went back. Oh, and by the way, I just hear noise from around, and the one thing I hear is from Mets fans, how pissed off they are, and that Bo Bichette is the biggest flop in free agent history. What are you seeing out of Queens?
Well, it's really interesting to see what's going on, because if you look at Bo's numbers in May, they are absolutely disgusting, and it looks like an absolute just matzo ball of a contract that is going to be really difficult to offload. It seems like he's for sure going to opt in. On the upside for Mets fans, Bo Bichette is putting together quite a June and looking far more like himself. I mean, you never want your big new high-paid star to take 2 months to start to get into the season, but that's kind of what's happened with Bichette. He's starting to put up hits like he did before. We're seeing those extra bases come into play here. He's starting to hit the odd bomb. So I think that Bichette maybe discounted what a market the New York market is, and what a pressure cooker that it can be if you're not performing. I mean, Toronto can be a pressure cooker, but New York's a whole new level. So I think that when he started so slowly, it kind of compounded everything. We were just talking about the mental side of stuff, right? And I think that that's kind of where Bo Bichette really fell into some quicksand there. But again, you look at his numbers in June, the man is coming out of it. And with that, we're starting to see the Mets play better as well. So can they actually get back into the playoff picture? They're going to need to string some wins together to do so, but Bo Bichette on a heater definitely helps them.
Okay, we got about 4.5 minutes left. That's not enough time, but a quick plug for your podcast, please, where people can enjoy it.
Absolutely. You can check it out. We're both on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts for the audio side of things. We run every Tuesday and Friday. We always have the best guests. We've got contacts that we're, Jay's analysts and stuff from Sportsnet and TSN and MLB.com come on quite regularly. And then we're also quite connected with the minor league system of the Blue Jays. So, if you want to hear from future stars, guys like Davis Schneider was talking to me 5 years ago when he was a Vancouver Canadian. So we tend to get in there to the minor league systems and talk to these up and coming Blue Jays and get a hold of them before they actually make the big leagues. So yeah, check it out if you're a ball fan, everybody.
All right, Walk Off Podcast. So I told you I'm fascinated by the stand-up comedy. So let me ask you that. When you come out to do a show, do you open with the same line every time? Or does it change?
No. No, I don't. In fact, I mean, one of the things that I find I really enjoy about stand-up comedy is when you first come onto the stage, the only thing that you tend to have in common with everyone in that room is the room itself you're in. So I do like to be in the moment and look around and maybe make fun of the room a little bit, or I'm coming into a new town. I pay attention to the roads. I pay attention to the different stores and stuff like that. And so I'll make little comments about the communities that I'm in and stuff, or sometimes I'll have a fun interaction off the top with someone and I'll recount that. But no, I normally try to be a little bit more specified to where I'm at than an actual. Now, do I have an act? Yes, I have an act. And if you followed me on the road, you would be like, oh, he's telling a lot of the same jokes, and that's just comedy.
Of course. Oh, I get it. Trust me. I do a lot of public speaking. If you're ever doing
Yeah.
a show in Wadena, Saskatchewan, the home of Pamela Wallen, don't go in and make jokes about Pamela Wallen.
I've been
You're
warned.
welcome.
All right.
Yeah.
Duly noted.
Was not a wise thing for me to do. So, yeah, but I get it. Yeah, they love the local humor and all the – I get it. But it's funny because I asked you who your favorite comedian was, and you said George Carlin, which is, frankly, what every comedian says that I interviewed. The look I get from people when I say it's Andrew Dice Clay is mine, it's always the same. They're always like, I'm like, he's funny. I'm not.
Yeah.
One time my dad got into my car. My dad's not still with, but he was driving my car, and I had the tape, that initial Dice tape from Caroline's in New York on the deck. Dad walked into the house and goes, "You think he's funny?" I'm like, "Dad, he's not serious." But Dad's like, who raised you? I'm like, "Oh, Dad, it's comedy." You know what I mean? But he was my favorite guy. I'm just gonna say. And my other favorite is Jerry Seinfeld, who never swears. He's like the opposite, right? Because they say the potty mouth is the easiest comedy to do. It's harder to keep it clean.
Well, I mean, for everyone who thinks that, I challenge you to get on stage and make a group of people laugh just because you're talking potty humor. I don't think it really works like that. There's a definite skill to joke telling, no matter whether it's dark and dirty or
Swearing
clean.
or not. Of course.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Scott, you're the best, man. Rock this show tonight.
Always a
Break it
pleasure,
up.
Rod. Thanks for having me, brother. Take care.
Scott Belford from the Walk Off Podcast, stand-up comic, joining us from Halifax, Nova Scotia. Beautiful place. Home of Brad Marchand. We'll be right back on the RP Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's a great day to have a great day. I hope you're having a great day. Our viewers are the best, from the ridiculous to the sublime. John Ohm writes in from Winnipeg and says, sports, where is he? He has this great guest, RP show. Yeah, he is great. Says smiling all the time. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, did this fellow play Screech on Saved by the Bell? Screech? Dustin Diamond? Look him up. I believe he went on to be a porn star after Saved by the Bell. I think. I was not really into that. That's what I heard. Right? Producer Corey in my ear. People can't. We got to put a camera on you, Corey. It would make things so much more interesting. 902-518-3033 is the text line. And what do we have here? Wayne writes in from Victoria. Says, I can understand why you don't live year-round in Florida, Rod. I like visiting hot places, but that's why I love living in Victoria. It's usually not too cold and not too hot. I didn't think it would get this hot in Florida this summer. So my first summer there, I was like, I got to get out of here. I got to make a plan. And I did, and it's been fantastic. I'm going to live this life as long as I can. It's amazing. Wilf is watching in Steinbach. Thank you for joining us, Wilf. Regarding Mike Babcock taking over the orders and me just saying, hey, he's not necessarily a nice guy. I feel like we could be talking about this for a very long time, right up until this ultimately ends and Mike Babcock winning a Stanley Cup with the Edmonton Oilers, or Mike Babcock fabulously flaming out as head coach of the Edmonton Oilers. One of the two is going to happen, and we'll be talking about it a lot until the day that either or happens. But Wilf writes in from Steinbach, Manitoba, and says, hey, Rod, recent Stanley Cup winning coaches were the boss. Babcock will be a boss. Yeah, and here's the thing, man. We're going to find out if Edmonton is truly Toronto West, because it's really looking that way. The one thing that Mike Babcock needs to realize, because there is a difference between there and other places he's coached, he's got bosses. Stan Bowman's the general manager and Daryl Cates is the owner. There is a pecking order, and don't get it twisted. As a matter of fact, look at the Vegas Golden Knights on the Silver State example. Bill Foley is the boss. He's the man. Every decision runs through Bill Foley, and they've had ridiculous success, so it works. Every decision also runs through Daryl Cates. They have not had the success. There's a difference. And then in Toronto, my God, I would love to sit Paul Maurice down and fill him full of booze and ask him, what's wrong with the Leafs, Palmo? And I'd love to also ask him, what's wrong with the Winnipeg Jets? He would never say. He would never say. If he even lit him on fire, Paul Maurice would never. He doesn't care. Again, it's in the past for him. He's won his Stanley Cups, but there's something wrong. And the problem in Toronto is there's not just one boss, there's like 20. Which speaks to a big problem that the Toronto has. So anyways, it's not the Toronto show or Edmonton show. Sports update. Oh, why did I click out of that? Sports update, BYU's A.J. Dibansa was selected number 1 overall by the Wizards on Tuesday night in Brooklyn, where nearly every NBA team earned top marks for their selections in the first round of an absolutely loaded NBA draft. Any of the top 4 picks, they say, could have reasonably gone number 1 in most years. So Washington, Utah, Memphis, and Chicago should all be thrilled with the young men who are about to join their ranks. I'm reading that from yahoo.com because I'll just say this. Every team gets up from the draft table happy with the draft that they had because none of those players have played a game. I'll relate it to your life. You're picking your fantasy football team. You're picking your Stanley Cup playoff pool team. Everybody's excited when you check the box until the game starts. So let's pump the brakes. Oh, by the way, I don't need Kevin the Medium to tell me how this was going to turn out. The NFL delivered a scathing lesson in accountability on Tuesday by denying Brendan Sorsby's request to hold a supplemental draft. The 22-year-old who admitted to betting on his own team and will no longer be playing for Texas Tech this fall may still enter the standard 2027 NFL draft. I feel like we're going to need to take a timeout and come back next segment for we are going to have to because we only got 30 seconds left here, but this isn't just a football issue. This is a life issue. And Brendan Sorsby thought he was going to tell the NFL and NCAA how things were going to go. It doesn't work that way. I called it. We'll be right back.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging with us. It's been fun, hasn't it? It's overtime for our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, where skill and fun collide. You probably want to see this laptop that I fight with every day. The problem is I've got two. My MacBook and then the one provided to me. And I'm not as good as navigating that. And I'm looking something up here for a reason. Yeah, here we go. I aim to please. So let me just finish this thing up with the Brendan Sorsby thing. I mean, I don't know. I'm no savant. I am in the Hall of Fame. But I kind of saw where this was going with the Brendan Sorsby thing. So he gets banned by the NCAA, takes it to an Amarillo district court judge in Texas with Texas Tech where he was playing. The judge rules that he can play because God knows in Texas, the judge was probably a Red Raiders fan. He gets deemed that he could play, but there was still fallout from that. So he's like, screw it. I'm just going to go to the NFL. Oh, really? Well, the NFL might have something to say about that. We've been tracking this story a little bit. I feel like in the U.S., it's probably all they're talking about, but the kid placed 90,000 bets while playing as a college football quarterback. So all I was saying was the NFL, they're just going to open their doors. It's a real parallel to the CFL situation with Arlen Bruce IV, bet at Iowa in the NCAA, and he's been banned from the Canadian Football League. Same thing. They want nothing to do with these players, and it sucks. But I would suggest if you're a young player, maybe don't bet on games. How about that? There's a lot of other things, far more nefarious things you can do, and they'll allow you to play, but don't bet on games. It's just the way that it is. And now, as I read in the sports update from yahoo.com, he'll be eligible for the draft. You think there might not be a don't draft the kid? They'll say that doesn't happen, but it happens. Don't bet on games. I have to apologize here, but to Jeff, the Stamps fan, he writes in and says, Rod, did you have any comments on the Flames trade yesterday? I have none. I saw the trade. I have no idea who these players are. So I want to make it something very clear here. I'm not a scout. And I only have so much room in my cranium. I mean, I'll give you a little example on a couple of things. You want to know who the leading strikeout king is of the WCBL right now? I can tell you that. Kagan Baker of the Regina Red Sox out of Harrah, Oklahoma. Plays at Southwestern Oklahoma University. Just called his game last night. I can tell you that. Who leads the WCBL in strikeouts? I was talking to a hotelier friend of mine, Jeff. I quoted him earlier today. He's all over all these trades like yours and all the rest, like Bowen Byram going from Buffalo to Chicago. He goes, I've lost track. Who's going to be the goalie in Florida next year? I said, Jordan Binnington. I can tell you what's happening with the Florida Panthers and the Tampa Lightning. I'm not sure that it's going to be Jordan Binnington, but that's the rumor. It ain't going to be Bob. But my point is who these players are. They traded with New Jersey, right? I couldn't pick any one of those players out of a lineup. Now, on the flip side, I'll tie this in. I know this is in Vegas. We're airing there, but it's a life thing. Really big news out of Edmonton today. John from Edmonton, a P1 viewer of ours, has written in a few times about it. A long-time Edmonton sportscaster, Kevin Carey, is pulling the pin. And we went to broadcast school together. He was a year ahead of me. I've said he's the oldest, my oldest friend in the business. My next oldest friend in the business, I texted him. I said, what's going on with Carey? So I'm afraid to ask him. He goes, he's done working in this trade. He looked around. His dad died at age 62. He's 57, I think, 58. And he goes, he's just done. And then he brought up some of the other guys in our era who were pulling the pin. And he goes, we're getting old. And I said, maybe. But I said, my dad worked at the National Hockey League until he was 76. I said, that's probably going to be me. Because he wanted to. Wasn't because he needed to. And Craig wrote me back, and he goes, well, that's a passion. My dad's was being a personnel guy. Too bad my dad's not alive. You could ask him. He would have had these thoughts on the Flames trade. I do not. It's not what I do. But I'll probably be on the air till I'm 76, if not longer. Because I love it. Arlen Bruce, we were just talking about JB. He writes it. He says, great day. Chiefs, 49ers, and CFL alum. He says, downtown Vancouver is filled with red right about now. Looks like Canada Day in Vancouver. Let's go, Canada. Well, that's right. Well, that's the other thing. I'm sitting here trying to learn. As it turns out, we're not doing a live stream today because our sponsor, BC Game, the global crypto casinos, like, let's not do it for the last group stage game. Let's do it for the knockout round. You guys down for that? You got the money, honey. I got the time. You tell me when and where. I'll be ready to go. And I'll know all the latest on Alphonso Davies and the rest of these guys. But that's who's paying me. It's where I'm landing the plane on that Moose Jaw Millers thing in the Western Canadian Baseball League. My phone was blowing up last night. I was in the broadcast booth calling a game. The Red Sox and the Millers. I'm like, they're paying me. That's where my attention is. The profession is old as time. Wayne in Victoria, BC says, I'm loving today's RP show. Mind you, it's always a great show. I had a buddy write me the other day. He's like, I just tune in. Made me wonder, why don't I watch this more? So great. I don't know. Can't answer that question for you. Tomorrow, hour 1, the Canadian hour, John Murphy will be with us. So you CFL freaks, you're going to love it. We'll break it all down with Murph, the pride of Long Island, New York. And I haven't figured out who we're going to do in hour 2. Any requests? It'll be somebody good. I know that. Thanks to Scott Belford today. You don't get on this show unless you're top-notch, of course, and he was great, joining us from Halifax, talking NHL, MLB, and stand-up comedy. And we'll do it all over again tomorrow here on Silver State Sports Game Plus, streaming on WQVZ.
Good.